When politicians make tough decisions and they cop criticism for being either too lenient and too tough at the same time, in my experience, it's usually an indication that they've probably got the decision right. And today may be a classic example of that. With another new infection tally in New South Wales coming in at 8, the second day of single figures, the Premier Gladys Berejiklian moves slightly to create a better Christmas for those in her state. No change to freedoms experienced in almost entirely COVID-free rural New South Wales. Why they're still banned from going into places like WA and Queensland, there is no scientific or medical reason for it. And for the 3 essential days of Christmas, so the 24th, 25th, 26th, for Greater Sydney, there'll be an increase in the maximum of 10 people allowed to gather. The exemptions will be children, 12 and under. So 10 adults and then more made up of children. The Northern Beaches, which is the epicentre, of course, for this latest cluster, it'll be cut into 2 distinctive geographical parts, with a lockdown continuing in the north of that area, although allowing residents to have 5 people over for Christmas gatherings. They cannot leave the peninsula. And in the south, the 10-plus children rule will apply, the same as Greater Sydney. Those residents cannot move from their part of the southern or of the Northern Beaches either, but they can invite friends and family in from Greater Sydney. And after Boxing Day, current restrictions are likely to continue. This is about striking a balance using compassion, as the Premier alluded to yesterday. It's managing the risks, not creating hard rules to seek total elimination. But what it's done for those who've been locked up, it's brought Christmas to the homes of those who thought it was cancelled.
Some people's stress levels and mental health capacity is already at breaking point, and we want to try and put that against the current risks as we see them. If the numbers were trending another way, if we had the case numbers we had a few days ago and the trend wasn't where it was, and the cases weren't all linked to the Avalon cluster in the main, well then what we'd be saying today would be very different. We're trying to be as I guess, generous as we can, but we can't be any more generous than what we've done.
This is what happens when grown-ups take over in the room. They take control, they balance various risks, not cowering in the face of a pandemic and shutting the joint down. It's about the mental health risk. It's about the risk of the joy that Christmas brings. It's about the risk of a pandemic. It's about the risk of the economy. But it's the people of the Northern Beaches and several of the areas in Sydney that have recorded mini outbreaks that have been committed to fighting the virus as well. The testing numbers reached 42,000 yesterday. That's off the back of 38,000 on Sunday and 44,000 Monday. Astonishing numbers that have done so much to detect where the virus is and drive those daily infections down to single digits in just a week.
I've been so buoyed and truly humbled and amazed by the way in which the community has responded to what we've asked them to do. The testing numbers have been so pleasing. The way in which the Northern Beaches community in particular has responded has been very positive.
And word coming through from New South Wales Health today suggests that today's testing regime will most likely eclipse all of those 3 days and create a new record in New South Wales. And you can see where this is going. An incredibly fast suppression of the virus in this cluster and an effective containment in Greater Sydney. On social media, the Premier was thanked and caned in equal amounts. And as I say, that's usually a distinct sign that the decision was about right. Gladys Berejiklian deserves great credit for her gutsy risk management during this pandemic, something that cannot be said for several other leaders right around this nation. For many, especially those in quarantine, it is not much of a Christmas, but thanks to people power and an amazing testing capacity, New South Wales is crushing this virus faster than anyone predicted.